Oil prices are rising, missiles are flying across the Middle East, and global markets are reacting within minutes. Because the world consumes more than 100 million barrels of oil every single day, and nearly 20% of that oil passes through one narrow waterway, which is the Strait of Hormuz, a corridor just 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. So, what happens if that corridor suddenly becomes a war zone? Because when conflict erupts in the Middle East, the consequences don't stay there. They move through oil prices, shipping routes, inflation, and global markets. And right now, those economic shockwaves may already be starting. Let's break down what's happening and why it could affect economies across the world. Israeli strikes have targeted Iranian military and nuclear infrastructure, while Iran has responded with ballistic missiles and drones. But the conflict is no longer limited to just two countries. The United States is already deeply involved. Israel is one of Washington's closest allies. So when Israel faces threats, the US provides intelligence, missile defense, and military deterrence. American naval fleets and aircraft carriers are now operating near the region, which means one of the world's most powerful militaries is already part of this confrontation. And that raises the global stakes. Iran also holds enormous leverage because of its geography, as it sits along the Strait of Hormuz, a corridor through which nearly 20% of global oil trade passes. So, even the risk of disruption can tighten energy supply overnight. That is why traders, governments, and investors are watching this region minute by minute. Because if shipping slows there, oil prices surge everywhere. And the ripple effects are already spreading. Oil prices are rising. Shipping insurance costs are increasing. Cargo vessels are reconsidering routes. Large sections of Middle East airspace are becoming unsafe. And the aviation industry faces growing financial pressure. European leaders are calling for de-escalation. Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar are increasing security around energy infrastructure. Asian economies are monitoring oil prices closely because prolonged disruption could push inflation higher worldwide. For India, the stakes are especially high. India imports around 85% of its crude oil, much of it from the Middle East. So when oil prices rise, the impact reaches the Indian economy quickly. Fuel prices increase, transportation costs climb, and inflation spreads through the economy. The effects even reach household kitchens. India consumes over 31 million tons of LPG every year, much of it imported. Millions of families rely on LPG cylinders for cooking. So when global energy prices rise, subsidy costs increase and households begin paying more. A conflict thousands of kilometers away begins affecting millions of family budgets. Industries are also feeling the pressure. Factories depend on electricity. Logistics runs on diesel. Transport fleets rely on fuel. So when energy prices rise, manufacturing costs increase. Industries like steel, cement, fertilizers, chemicals, and automobiles face higher production expenses. Companies either absorb the cost, reducing profits, or pass it on to the customers. Either way, economic pressure spreads across the system. Even the economists warn that prolonged disruption could trigger another wave of global inflation. Some analysts are even warning about a global recession. Well, history shows how powerful these energy shocks can be. The oil crisis of 1970s pushed multiple economies into recession. If disruptions continue today, the pressure on the global economy could rise again, which raises the question that many people are asking: are we entering World War III? It's too early to say, but one thing is clear. Modern wars rarely stay confined to battlefields. They move through energy markets, supply chains, and financial systems. And when energy sits at the center of the conflict, the consequences travel far beyond the region. If you found this video useful, like, share, and subscribe for more insights on global economies and startups. And if you are building a startup in uncertain times and looking for funding and mentorship, connect with us at Exit Fund.